Welcome, everybody, to the Breaking the Silence podcast. My name is Sean McBride, and I'm joined here today by Alex Garner, sober life coach, all-around advocate of sober living and mental health awareness and recovery. And thank you so much for joining us today. Alex, I really appreciate having you on the show. Big fan.
Thank you. Yeah, it's awesome to be here. I obviously know of your guys' work at the addiction rehab in Toronto, and I'm just a fan of your guys' work as well. So thanks for doing this, and thanks for having me on.
No, absolutely. Always good. So Alex, we were talking a little bit about, where you're at, where you've been. How long have you been a life coach, actually?
Yeah, so I got sober about 4.5 years ago, but a life coach for about 3.5 years. I don't know the exact date, but 3.5 years, about that.
Awesome. And you were sharing with me, you handle all kinds of different cases. Do you find most people come to you with alcohol and substance, or kind of a mixed bag?
Yeah, good question. So when I first started out, maybe it'll help to have some context here, but when I first started out, my primary aim was alcohol, but that wasn't where I wanted to go, like end result, because with my story, I struggled with drugs and alcohol, and at the end, it was primarily just drugs, but alcohol was always there. So I wanted to do, I just wanted to get my foot in the door just with alcohol, and then learn the process and see if it worked for drug addiction too. And lo and behold, it did. So I got into that. And then more recently, I've helped people with eating addictions, and more like, different, even some healthy addictions, right? Because too much of a good thing can still be bad. But I primarily do alcohol and drugs, but what happens with the brain and the habits that need to be formed is the exact same with any addiction. So at least what I found in my neuroscience research. Now there are some, of course, some caveats there, but the core program is the same.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Anything that elicits that dopamine response and that feedback loop, right? Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And let me ask you something, because I know, like you said, too much of a good thing. Now I know off the top of my head, I mean, working out too much, those, fitness people who are just constantly at the gym, some of them working out, 6 to 8 hours a day, which is just, crazy.
Yeah.
Do you find there's any other like healthy, quote unquote, like addiction? Like what would classify?
Yeah. So, I can vouch on this, that like, running can be, I know it's kind of similar to working out, but running can be particularly bad on the body. Especially if you're not managing your intake of fluids and water, and food. But if you're just out there running all the time, that obviously can be a wear and tear on your knees, on your health. But that's not to say to go out there and not do it. It's just do it, and everything's in moderation, right? Like some of the other things, like good things, not so much good things, but things where, like video games, like to some people that's not an addiction, but to some people it can become that. I wouldn't say video games is a good addiction, right? But it's not a good thing. But for some people, like I play video games, right? I play Rocket League, if anybody's ever heard of it. I love it.
Car soccer.
Yeah.
Love it.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I do that for like stress release, right? And I do it, maybe like 20 minutes a day, if even that. But for some people that can turn into something completely different, right? And so I think that's what's most important, is looking at those things that maybe they're not addictions on the outside, but if you do it too much, it can become an addiction.
It makes sense, right? I mean, I guess it can be like anything, drinking too much coffee, or your compulsion to read books, even, shopping, any of those. Let me ask you something, because, obviously with things like alcohol or drugs, things like that, it's pretty evident to see, okay, this has become a problem. I'm not able to function. I'm becoming sloppy. I'm causing problems for those around me. Comes to, like, for instance, social media addiction, doom scrolling for hours. Is it like the same thing where you're like, okay, I'm going to be late for work because I have to check my posts or, do this next match or round? Or is it more like a sneaky kind of, okay, I brushed off family dinner to stay home and play games? Like, where do you draw the line between this is a fun hobby versus addiction in that case?
Yeah, so I think the most important thing to look at here is dopamine, like 100%, because if you're getting a dopamine spike on something like doom scrolling, like alcohol, like drugs, what that does is it lowers your dopamine baseline. So this is on video. So if you're spiking in dopamine all the time, you're going extremely high and then you're going extremely low, extremely high, extremely low. What happens is that lowers your dopamine baseline down over time. So when you quit, it's going to take a while for your dopamine baseline to get back up, and that's why everything feels so flat. So I think that's like the indicator there is if you're scrolling all the time and you find yourself fatigued after, then or you are missing events, right? Like that's a red flag right there. But to catch that before it's the dopamine baseline. You want to take a look at are you getting healthy amounts of dopamine? What are you getting dopamine from? If it's from scrolling, if it's from something unhealthy, like we all know that scrolling is unhealthy, but we do it, right? And that is definitely an addiction. But the same thing, that's what I meant, is like the same thing happens with the brain with that as it does with alcohol and drugs. It's just alcohol and drugs is a lot more toxic. Like it's more apparent, right? Yeah. Something like scrolling isn't as apparent. So you have to be aware. I think awareness is the first step there, right? Be aware of, are you how much time are you spending? Like you can track all that on your phone. Yeah. Right? Like if you're spending 2 hours a day on TikTok or more, like that's not healthy, right? Unless you're a content creator and you're posting stuff.
That's your hustle. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that really kind of separates the line, right? Because, people watching this I don't want them to think, I spent half an hour, looking at puppy videos. Is there something wrong with me? But at the same time, to be aware.
It's just if it's daily, right? Like it's actually, so what, like if you're spending a half hour watching puppy videos, that's not going to mess with your dopamine. But if you're doing it daily, that's going to mess with your dopamine. Dopamine is all about consistency. So it's going to be affected by something that you're doing consistently, right? So that's what you want to take a look at. What are your habits that you're doing every single day? That's where that dopamine baseline is going to be lowered if it's unhealthy for you. If it does create the dopamine spikes that we were talking about.
And then it just leads to more and more need and more.
Yeah.
And it's interesting too, because, especially when you talk about like digital content and whatnot, I don't even think half the stuff that people are like, I myself, I can spend half an hour, not necessarily looking at puppy videos, but looking at drawing ideas, looking at pretty much anything. And I notice probably 90% of the stuff I see, I'm like, did I really actually enjoy that? Did it bring me joy, or was it just, filler for my brain, right? It's almost like that whole idle hands or the devil's plaything kind of concept, right?
Yeah. So you have to take a look at what you're looking at, right? Because like puppy videos isn't going to do anything other than fill you with joy, but and that's okay maybe to do every day. That's fine. But what I'm saying is like if it's messing with your psychological mentality, then that's an issue, right? Like if you're doom scrolling and all that's on your feed are people that are doing better than you, and it's making you feel your self-worth like crap, then that's doing something more than what is a puppy video does. So it's just about awareness.
Yeah, it's funny, before working at art, I was never a big fan of social media. I just always found, like you said, that comparative narrative is absolutely devastating. You go online and you see someone who's 23 years old and, they're multi-millionaires. Yeah. And they're driving this car and, going here. And then you sit there and you look at yourself and you're like, I'm 43. I've worked hard my whole life. What am I doing wrong? Right away. And then you start looking for more evidence for that negative part of your brain to be like, oh yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, you're really fit. Yeah. And it's just terrible.
Well, your brain is looking for that confirmation, right? Like that's the thing is like if you're watching like Facebook and you feel that way, then your brain is going to be looking for confirmation that you are that way. Exactly. So it's actually like that's the hard part, right? It's really important. One thing I always say is our inputs control our outputs. Like what we take in controls what we put out, right? I had a client that loved murder mysteries, and she would listen to podcasts and watch all the shows, and I know your listeners will relate to this. And then she'd have trouble sleeping at night because she's afraid that her house is going to be broken into. It's just like that. That's what I'm saying. It's like that she wasn't aware of that. But it takes awareness, right? Once I said it, she was like, oh yeah, that makes sense, right? But if we're not aware of it, then we can't do anything about it.
I guess that's really the little gremlin of addiction, right? Is it kind of puts a lens on things where you're like, yeah, this is okay. This is okay.
Oh yeah. Your awareness is like, there's no such thing as awareness when you're on drugs and alcohol.
Yeah,
no such thing.
I remember even my own life, justifying my usage of marijuana was going up and up. And I was like, everybody's doing it. There's jobs everywhere. And then before I knew it, I was like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, it steals away from you. I have a friend that told this story, and I'm going to butcher it, but it's really good if I do it right, but I probably won't. But he talked about how, at the beginning of his drinking, it would cause a couple fights with his wife, but that's okay, right? Like it's okay. Like he'd accepted, like, this is just part of it. And then all of a sudden it started causing more fights. And then over time, right, it develops into, okay, now she's kicking him out of the house. And he's like, oh no, this is fine. Like, I'm okay, right? Like, it's all good. Like, I can still do this. I can still drink. I can still do the thing. And then it just wears on your self-worth, like, and your self-acceptance over time.
For sure.
And then before you know it, like he's taking he's kicked out of his parents' house. He's taking showers underneath a water hose, right? While his wife was not at, or while his wife was at work, he would go to the house and take a shower under the water hose. And he's like, nope, this is fine. Like, I can do this, right? And it's the same thing for me. Like, I was homeless for a year and a half in Chicago, and it just wore on me over and over and over until the point where I was like, okay, how did I even get here? Because it's small changes. It's like, it's incremental small changes that happen that you're not aware of. If I was aware of that, then I could have made the change. But I wasn't aware of it because I was doing drugs and alcohol, which is my point, right? Like, there's no such thing as awareness when you're drinking and drugging. There's no such thing. I don't care how much you drink either. Like, there's, in the research that I've done, if you have 1 to 2 drinks, just 1 to 2 drinks, not every day, just 1 to 2 drinks, it messes with your prefrontal cortex and your cognitive behavior and your cognitive thinking for 4 days.
Wow.
So you're not for 4 days, staggering. 1 to 2 drinks. Yeah. So it's and trust me, there's been studies that have been shut down on this because they were studying the moderate benefits of drinking. It was $100 million study, and it got shut down because they couldn't find a single benefit from moderate drinking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Not one. And that's moderate, not even heavy. So it's just like, alcohol is really, really bad for the system. Like the nervous system, the brain, it's really, really bad.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like you said, some things, even moderation isn't good, like.
Yeah. Not with alcohol. No,
not at all.
Guys, you've been sold a lie. It's a massive marketing scheme. And I'm sorry if I'm the one to break this to you, but with alcohol, it's a lie. There's not, you used to see all these articles coming out 5 to 10 years ago saying that alcohol is good for the heart. 1 glass of wine a day.
Drink a glass of wine.
There's no such thing anymore. You won't find any of those articles online anymore because it's not true. It's so bad for you. Do your research.
It's funny for me. My thing was marijuana. I was kind of a weekend warrior, if once, maybe twice out of every 1 or 2 months, my buddies would go shoot pool and I'd, crush it, so to speak. But it was funny because when I stopped smoking, I actually noticed how much it's in media. Almost every single show, constant drinks. And then I was watching this one show. It was like a supernatural thing. It was kind of teeny bopperish. But I was watching it and I was like, these people were supposed to be, between 25 and 28. And every single scene, they weren't just, taking a sip, or it wasn't just there. It was like they're pounding back drinks. And that wasn't a focus of the show. It was just background.
So that's what the subconscious picks up on. So this is what I found in my studying is if you're aware of that, that's your conscious mind. If you're not aware of it, your subconscious is picking up on it. So if you're watching the show and you're aware of it because you quit drinking, that's the conscious mind. But if you're watching the show and you're not aware of it, that's a subconscious mind that is taking on that message that drinking is okay. Drinking is everywhere. Drinking is this. Drinking is that. And that's what I do with my coaching is I rewrite that subconscious mind. And that's what's needed in sobriety, in my opinion, is to rewrite that subconscious mind, because that's the shit that we're taking on that we don't even know we're taking on.
Yeah, no,
we don't even know, like, unless you're aware of it, right?
Yeah.
So the subconscious mind is 95% of our mindset, and we operate, most of our habits, our patterns come out of our subconscious mind. So it's sure. like you're not in control of that, right? Like basically, because you're being programmed by media, social media, whatever, and then then you have a drinking problem, all of that. Like it's just one big massive lie, and it's a subconscious reprogramming problem, in my opinion.
Oh, even societal expectation. I mean, if you go to a bar with a bunch of buddies and they're all having beers and you're like, oh, I'll have a Coke, they look at you like,
right,
what's the problem? Like, right. Are you feeling okay? Like it's almost like a pressure. It's interesting what you said though. Like I see your sign in the background and what you're talking about, about rewiring. I quote this guy a lot. He's actually one of my personal heroes. Neuroscience is kind of a hobby of mine. But Dr. Joe Dispenza, and he says about how, neurons that fire together, wire together. Yeah. And I don't think enough people really understand, as much as they can misfire and kind of go down the path you don't want, with focused attention, with work, with counseling, all that, you can start to retrain your brain.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. You have the power. Like you have, like, we don't have control over our subconscious mind, but we have control what we feed it. And now we have the ability to reprogram it. So technically we do have control over our subconscious mind, right? But like from a different, that's a different definition of control, right? So yeah, it's really interesting. I love that type of stuff. But yeah, I love Joe Dispenza. He's great. He was a chiropractor, right? Yeah. I think that turned into like a neuroscience guy, right? And I love that because like that's true passion. It's not somebody that just went to school for it, and he truly lives it, Yeah,
for sure. From what I know, I mean, like I said, he's like one of my personal heroes. But he basically had like a traumatic kind of breakdown, reassessed his life, decided that, it wasn't his path. And now, he's doing all kinds of things with charting how the brain works, and it's fascinating stuff. That's why I love actually doing this podcast, is just having a chance to interact with people like you, the science of it. And I think that's a big thing that will really help break the stigma, because that's the biggest thing, right? People who suffer in silence or, have been raised in a society where it's, suck it up, walk it off. It's not that bad. Yeah. And then, before you know it, that's the person who's got a flask under their desk, doing shots when no one's looking, for instance, right? So I think understanding scientifically and in terms everybody can digest, I think that's really a key part to break the stigma. For years, they always said, oh, it's a disease. And I think a lot of people thought it's a cop-out, but I think people need to realize that it's not that alcohol itself is the disease, or crack cocaine is the disease. It's something inside the brain that has that addictive nature, and maybe a form of allergy to that particular substance, right? Because otherwise,
exactly. So it's I love what you're talking about, because like with alcohol in particular, right? Like it has to do with acetone and staying in your acetone. That's a short version of it. I don't remember the long one, but stays in your body longer. Your body doesn't break it down as fast. Process takes longer to process, so then it creates a physical allergy. Like that's what they mean by the disease of alcoholism, right? It's not like it's a physical allergy to the alcohol, because once you pass a certain threshold, or you're born with allergy, right? So and obviously they're finding more and more stuff with the drugs too. But you're right, it is a psychological thing, and science, in my opinion, is what needs to be the answer, because science can be trusted by everybody, right? It's pretty factual, because it's based on a lot of studies. It's based on a lot of it's not just somebody's like thoughts, right? It's they're hypotheses that have been tested. They're theses that have been tested.
Yeah.
And that's why, I mean, you see hypnosis coming back, like 90, like I know a coach that has a 96% success rate with hypnosis on quitting drinking.
Wow. That's a huge,
and that's straight up reprogramming the subconscious mind.
That's what you're doing. Yeah. Right. You're diving into it. Yeah. Even for me, so I've been practicing lucid dreaming for years. And when I went through my psychological struggles, I found it invaluable in doing, what you would call shadow work. I would take aspects of myself and dive into them. And like you said, restructure, repurpose. And, it really does work. And the best part about it, when you're dealing with things like hypnosis and whatnot, like you said, you're cutting through the static of the conscious mind. You're getting right into that subconscious. And then you don't even know that it worked until one day you're just like, oh, wait a minute, I don't feel that way about this anymore. So that's amazing.
Yeah. So through the program that I have, I do that through meditation, through breath work, through reframing. But the big ones is like, so after I got sober, I basically, let's see an easy way to put this. I went into science. I just started studying it, neuroscience, because traditional ways of getting sober was not working for me. It helped me get sober, but not stay sober. So as soon as I'd go back out, or I wasn't in a safe environment, boom, it's over. So, or 6 months, 8 months, boom, it's over. So I started going into science because of this life coach that I follow, and Jay Shetty.
You went to his course, right?
Yeah, I went to his life coaching school and then worked for a couple of years. But yeah, so anyways, I started studying neuroscience at his school, or that's when I first got introduced to it, because he does the Neuroscience-Backed program. And after that, I met neuroscientists through that program, and I sat down with them and I developed tools, techniques, meditations, breath work, reframing. Everything that is in my program is all neuroscience-backed by neuroscientists. Like, I didn't do it, right? But I came up with the ideas and I said, hey, I need a tool for this. How do we do this? And then they said, this is how we do it. So it's not just like, that's what I'm saying. It's factual, right? Like these are people that have gone to school for 8 years or whatever it is, right? To get a master's in neuroscience. And they're developing these tools. No, it's not. Oh my God.
That's not easy at all.
Neuroscience it's crazy. I took this intro to neuroscience class, and it wasn't what I thought it was going to be like at all. Like, they're talking about like axioms and neurons. I'm like, oh my God, like what is this?
Neopeptide compositions.
I
love all that stuff.
Like ions and like the cells, and I'm like, what? I thought this was about like, but basically it shows you how the brain, how we produce electricity, right? Like that's basically what it is. But anyways, then you get into the more cool stuff. But yeah, there's a lot there. It's not easy for sure. But my point is like these tools that are coming out now that are neuroscience backed, they work if they're done right. And that's why you see these 96% success rates. That's why with my program it's a 94% success rate. And that means that the people that have gone through my program are still sober to this day at a 94% rate. So I've helped over 80 people to get sober off of these things. And I don't say that to gloat, like I really don't. It's just, I just want people to know that there's help out there. And if you have the work ethic to want to do it, this is for you, right? Like, cause it's like, if you don't want to do the religion thing, if you don't want to go to meetings every day, and look, if that's your route, like amazing. I love it. And AA saved my life. I will always say that. But I just feel like there's more things that are needed there to do it a little bit more efficiently and faster. And that's where the neuroscience comes in, right?
Sure. No, I love what you're speaking about and the passion that you have behind it. And, you obviously 100% know what you're talking about, which is great. For me, I've always kind of been the same way. I consider myself very spiritual. When I quit marijuana, I used a lot of quote unquote metaphysical methods, like you said, like meditation, lucid dreaming, things of that nature. And it was almost more terrifying to me when I went through my mental health struggles because I did understand exactly what was going on in my brain. But I still couldn't disassociate from that. I was like, oh, I know, this part of my amygdala is misfiring, whatever. And I was still like, well, understanding it doesn't mean anything.
Right.
So I really like how you kind of combine science, the deep science, with spiritual
application, right? Like that's the most important part. You can know everything, but if you don't apply it, it's not worth anything, right? That's what you're saying. So like the tools that you had, like those, like the more metaphysical things, the meditation, the other things that you mentioned, like those are the action tools, right? Like those are the tools that get you there, but they still need to be framed in a neuroscience way. So for instance, if you're out there and you want to get sober and you just go start meditating, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
You have to have neuroscience-backed meditations in order for it to work. Meditation is the tool, right?
Yeah.
Like to redirect the mind. It's not like any meditation. Same thing with breath work, right? Same thing with any of the holistic tools, like hypnosis. It has to be like specifically designed for that thing, right?
Yeah,
and with hypnosis in particular, like the guy that I know, the coach that does it, he says their names and talks about their goals and their benefits that they wrote down for quitting, right? So like it has to be very descriptive and it has to be framed in a way. So trust the people that have studied it.
Yeah.
Right. Like yeah, you just can't go out there and download Insight Timer and expect to get sober. Like I said,
yeah, exactly. I'm going to put on binaural beats for 20 minutes and all my problems will go away. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
It's got to be very direct. Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think the other big thing too is just recognizing there's no quick fast. We're talking about the brain. We're talking about years and years of programming that needs to be slowly undone. You can't just, it's not a computer. You can't just reformat, reload. Awesome. Alex, it's been great having you on. Just, maybe before we head out, is there anything you would want to impart to people? Anything, that maybe you think is crucial that people should know that maybe they don't?
I would say that if you don't feel like there is a custom way or like a way for you to get sober, there always is. Like just like drop all the labels. If AA is your thing, go. If science back is your thing, go. If church is your thing, go. Just go get whatever you need, right? And whatever resonates with you. There's a lot of ways to get sober. Like, and I genuinely believe that. Like, I genuinely believe that there's a lot of ways to get sober. That's why you see so many different coaches with all these different things, right? And they're working. They're getting people sober. So just don't lose faith, is what I would say, and just keep searching for something that resonates with you. And if science backed resonates with you, then I think he's going to put it in the chat. Check out my website. Or if you just want to chat with me, send me an email. Like, that's fine. Whatever you feel like you need, but
awesome. Alex, we froze up.
I think the people that label themselves are really limiting themselves.
Yeah, for sure. And no, really great words to end on. Everybody, Alex actually has an upcoming book, Sober, a science-backed modern recovery blueprint. It'll be coming out soon. Also, you can find him at www.alexsgarner.com. We'll have that up on our website following the release of this podcast. So for myself and everybody here at ART, Alex, can't tell you how much I appreciate. I could probably spend another hour just talking to you, picking your brain. But yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. And maybe we'll have you back another time too.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
All right. Have a great weekend, buddy. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.